Carl Jung once said, midlife crisis is a time to let go of our over-dominant ego and to contemplate the deeper significance of human existence. In this clip, you're going to experience middle-aged man's self-transformation, his journey into self-transformation. It's a tumultuous time, a difficult time, but it's also a normal time, and learning to come into the inner exploration is something new for men. I hope you enjoyed this clip and get something from it. Symbols and sound play therapy is really powerful. This figurine and the rabbit on top, I use the rabbit a lot to represent when the our intellectual mind can't answer the 1 + 1's not equaling 2, and a lot of our emotional material and subconscious material and feelings and stuff, it's not rational, and it's really difficult sometimes, and especially for men. And in the introduction to this person I was working with, he'd been quite fatigued because he's having some major anxiety, which filtered into a bit of a health scare, and he's doing really well. And so I think it was Wednesday night, had another one of those non-sleep nights. And when we have those nights, they're bloody awful. The anxiety that we all have, we toss and turn and get frustrated, which makes it worse. And and as a result of that, we can feel like this. And so to start the session, I just borrowed from a previous person's work, and this person related to it, and so that got the ball rolling. And then as the conversation went on, he said, yeah, the sleep was really terrible, but through the whole process, I had thoughts that God had his hand on my forehead, and so then I invited him to choose a symbol that would represent that. And he then chose this symbol, and that was lovely to know that that faith was there to protect him, and to not try and get too anxious about it, and just accept that, okay, tonight I'm going to have one of those nights. And when there's a tumultuous process, or when we're transforming, it can be the brain or the mind just wants to get it all fixed, but the process, it will take its own time. And having that God there, his hand on his forehead, and my curiosity was, what would happen if the hand was placed on your heart? And as a result of the lack of sleep, is this feeling here, that flatness, and then he chose this symbol here, the old flat, no energy. And because of that energy sitting there, that low energy, then I think it's not uncommon for men to get quite frustrated. And so when he started talking about being a bit frustrated about not sleeping, I invited him to choose a symbol that might represent that. And this might be a little bit directive sound play therapy. Normally it can be children, when they do it, it's just free association. They'll just go and collect the symbols and place them, and the symbols will tell a story, and we're creating the story. And it's okay to be directive and invite when in the conversation, if there's talking about an energy or a frustration, let's look at it, let's see, and where does it get placed? How do we depict it? And as we move forward, it's as you were that sense that God had his hand on your forehead, I invited the person to reflect on and how are you comforting yourself, that self-care. And then he chose two symbols, this figurine here, and this angel, which is the sort of the spirit, the spiritual sense of self. And the conversation that was shared is that, look, my transformation is it's in embryonic stage, and I know that angels, and he shared with me the beautiful thing about this angel is she has a butterfly, and when he goes out bushwalking, it's just incredible how amazing he sees lots and lots of butterflies. And so that was the synchronicity, the connection, and all these messages that we get, they might be beyond intellect. The rational mind goes, oh yeah, what's that mean? But it doesn't matter. It's the deep impact on it, and so we then continue to talk, and particularly focusing around here, it can get a bit dark. And we then talked a couple of weeks ago, about that deep emptiness. When we can feel at the depth of our despair, or there's just no light at the end of the tunnel, there's a deep place where we are alone. Our partners, our family, their energy can't meet us at that level, and sometimes it can be like the unknown. So I asked him to, does that symbol in the background there represent the unknown? And I have no doubt that we all have fear of the unknown. It is unknown. And how do we learn to surrender to that unknown? How do we, instead of, we will naturally react with anxiety. And how do we, instead of fighting it, surrender to it? And this person was talking that, it's hard for the intellectual mind to stop thinking. And so we then started to reflect on the bushwalking, the being out in nature, how valuable and how peaceful, and the sense of oneness that can bring in us. So then I invited him to choose a symbol to what can represent that oneness, and then he chose this symbol and placed it right in the middle there. And that's that sense of oneness. And then the process was inviting him to just close your eyes, allow your sense of self to reconnect to the oneness of nature, that blissful, peaceful space. And so he closed his eyes and reconnected to the oneness of nature, that cellular memory of being in nature. And when we can reconnect to that cellular sense, close our eyes, close down our minds, and come into that oneness, there is an inner peace. And that peace can go to a cellular level. And at some level, yes, when we're transforming, it can be ego death, that can be a really tumultuous process, that the loss of the ego identity. And it does need to die at some level for there to be a rebirth of the new, the transformation of the new. And the powerful, beautiful work this lovely man's doing is honouring that. Yes, his intellectual mind is, I was going to say ravening, but the intellectual mind doesn't stop. It wants the answers. But the answers is in the process. And here is a beautiful story, a beautiful connection. And that oneness is there. If we close our eyes, we do have that cellular memory, and I sometimes describe that to people I work with as those aha moments. Okay, we can't live in them 24/7, but we can have access to them, and I'm wondering the more we practice to silence our mind, to stop that thinking brain, that can we just stop, breathe, and be in peace. And when we're in peace, when we're experiencing peace, I'm wondering, do we actually think peace? Yes, we can have peaceful thoughts, but when we do have peace, I'm wondering whether our whole body embodies in that peace, and the body slows down, the body comes into peace, and that's the experience. And it's a lovely honour to have the permission to share his story, and I hope his sample story may assist other men connect, resonate. What's your story? I hope you got something from this clip. If you did, please share it with other people that you know. If you've got a partner that's going through this period of time, give it the thumbs up, and please do the usual and subscribe down below. Thank you.